Hey, everybody, and welcome to Adapt or Perish. In this episode, we're looking at 9 big and small screen adaptations of Oscar Wilde's The Canterville Ghost. But before we get started, let's talk about our next episodes. First, our next Adapt or Perish mini. We've discussed Ang Lee on the show before with looks at Sense and Sensibility and Brokeback Mountain, but one of his earliest successes came with 1993's The Wedding Banquet, the story of a gay Taiwanese man living in New York City who stages a fake marriage to satisfy his traditional parents, but sees things spiral out of control when they arrive for a lavish, get this, wedding banquet. We'll be discussing both the original and the new 2025 big screen remake, directed by Andrew Ahn and starring Bowen Yang, Lily Gladstone, Kelly Marie Tran, and Han Gi-chan in 2 weeks on Tuesday, July 8th. Then, in our next regular episode, we're going to do something that I've been talking about doing for a long time now. There's obviously a new Superman movie that's about to hit theaters, and I have made no secret of my love for the character, so we're doing it. We're tackling Superman. The character has been interpreted on the big and small screen countless times since his introduction in 1938, and we're going to cover as much of it as we possibly can, including the newest movie. That'll be out in a month on Tuesday, July 22nd. Before we get started, quick reminder that Adapt or Perish is no longer posting on Instagram, Facebook, and Threads. To find out about upcoming episodes and general show announcements, head to our Patreon page. You can join for free and get access to all the same information you'd be getting on social media and more. For more information, check it out at patreon.com/adaptcast or head over to our website, adaptorperishcast.com. And with that, on with the show, Adapt or Perish, episode 168, The Canterville Ghost. Hello and welcome to Adapt or Perish, a podcast about adaptation. I'm Jeremy Latour.
And I'm Ian Averill, and tonight we're talking about The Canterville Ghost.
So this was going to be a fun one. I said this in the intro for the previous one, because we just did Turn of the Screw. Welcome back, everybody. It's nice to have you all here.
Hello.
Also, it's nice to have you here.
Oh, and you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. And also with you. We did Turn of the Screw, and that was a slog, because it was 12 dark and sometimes scary and sometimes depressing looks at haunted houses, and it was just an intense experience that involved a 9-episode series and many movies. I realized afterwards that, like, oh man, what a perfect chaser, The Canterville Ghost, because it's been in the backlog forever. And we've talked about Oscar Wilde here on the show before, because so we're talking about The Canterville Ghost, which was originally published in 2 parts in the Court and Society Review, written by Oscar Wilde in February and March 1887, and then it was later published in a collected work called Lord Arthur Saville's Crime and Other Stories in 1891.
Yeah,
I know this is very early, but I want to do a quick plug, because I feel like I've mentioned it on the show before, but I want to give a really quick plug to Standard eBooks. Standard eBooks is a fantastic website that I have been using on this show for a really long time. It is a fantastic way to find really well formatted EPUBs of public domain works. The people who run it they do a great job, and it is so much nicer to be able to go find something through them than it is to like pay for the ebook on Amazon, because if it's public domain, anyone can publish it anyway. Quick little plug for Standard eBooks. I'll link them in the show notes. I think everyone should take advantage of the good work that they do.
It's a good resource.
Yeah. So we've talked about Oscar Wilde on this show before. Ari and I did The Picture of Dorian Gray. I don't think we really need to go into detail about Oscar Wilde, Irish playwright, poet, novelist, known for his dry wit and also his challenging life.
Yeah, to say the least.
On account of he was gay and people did not like that. He went to jail for it, which is awesome. Just makes me feel great.
Just real cool.
Real cool. Real cool. Famously dramatized in the movie Wilde, starring Stephen Fry, who we will come back to in a little bit.
Yeah.
So he wrote The Canterville Ghost, and I was excited, especially in reading it, because it is so goddamn funny.
It's a delightful little story.
Funny, subversive haunted house story that was the short story. I was proven right, was the perfect chaser to the experience of doing the turn of the screw.
Yeah.
But then I don't know if you're I think your experience was similar. Then we had to start watching the adaptations.
Right. I think you were like, when you were telling me about it, you were also the other kind of like you were positive on it, was that you were like, yeah, so there's all these adaptations, but many of them seem very short,
which is true.
And but it's one of those, then you watch them and you're like, oh, but are they though?
They are technically short. Some of them feel quite long.
Some of them are technically short.
All right, I'm gonna rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah,
these were all bad.
Yeah, even
they're all bad.
There's some that I qualified as liking.
Yes, me too.
But just one or two, and but let's be clear. We both agree. Even the ones that we kind of liked are bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
All of them. If anyone hearing this is like, but I really like this one, we're going to talk about it, and we might even like some of the same stuff you like in it.
Sure.
But boy, this was rough. And this was rougher than Turn of the Screw, because at least Turn of the Screw, some of them were like really, really good. This one, there were good moments, and that was basically it. So we're going to do this a little bit differently, because I don't want to sit here and just go chronologically through all of these and basically end up saying the same things about all the adaptations.
Yeah.
We could say about 7 or 8 of these 9 versions that we're going to talk about, oh, there's British people in them doing bad American accents. Let's just take it as read that that's in all of them. We could talk about how the special effects are very bad. Take it as read that that's all of them.
Even the modern ones.
Yes. It never gets better.
Yeah.
We're going to focus on the short story for a little bit. Then, rather than going through them all chronologically, we're going to talk about them in kind of 3 sections. In the first section, we're going to talk about the ones that don't work. And that's most of them. And we're going to go through them kind of quickly. Then we're going to talk about one that almost works and is crazy. And the more I think about it, the more I like it. But it is also a huge mess, and it is insane.
Yeah.
Then there's like the 3 that work. And I think we'll spend a little bit more time talking about those 3. But we're not doing this chronologically because I don't have the energy. I don't have the energy to say the same things about each one of these.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Thank you.
Because we got to do something different with this, because otherwise it would just take bites out of our soul, perhaps.
Yes.
So
take years off our life.
Yeah. So let's talk about the story, though.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do a back of the book really quickly.
Please do.
Canterville Chase possesses all of the trappings of a standard haunted country house, including large suits of armor and Gothic paneled library walls. However, it soon becomes difficult to ignore the spooky signs that Sir Simon is haunting the house. The usual Halloween fare of rattling chains and bloodstains. Surprisingly and hilariously, the Otises, a modern American family, refuse to be scared, despite all of Sir Simon's best flamboyant efforts and costume changes. Stain remover is deployed to clean bloodstains, and oil is applied to clanking chains. Instead, the poor revenant is faced with practical jokes from the 2 young twins in the family and seeks solace by befriending 15-year-old Virginia instead. Told from the unusual point of view of the ghost rather than the haunted party, it bears the trademark Wildean moral message, but the message is carried lightly in this entertaining, amusing, and heartwarming Christmas story.
What?
Yeah, I don't know about that. This back of the book, I don't know what's going on here. It's published in February and March.
There's a certain kind of, maybe there's just a certain kind of publisher that's like, it's a ghost story. I don't know, it's Christmassy.
Yeah. Yeah. Ian, this story is hilarious.
It's very funny.
I'm going to say the thing that is going to shock no one. It's so dry, and I loved it so much. I don't know if you know that about Oscar Wilde.
That is one of his things, from what I understand. I tell you, this is just a quick, this is a little bit of Ian's audiobook corner, because it's public domain. There's a million different audiobooks of it available in any marketplace that are all like $2. There's a lot to choose from. So I picked one. The woman who was reading it was quite good, but at the beginning I was worried because I knew it's Oscar Wilde. This is it's dryly funny. I know that. I was worried at the beginning that the person reading it was like not really getting the satire of certain things, and was like maybe not doing it right. But this was a worry just in the first couple paragraphs, I was like, I hope I didn't choose wrong. As soon as the POV switch, the moment that comes when the dad comes out of the bedroom and the POV kind of switches to the ghost all of a sudden.
Yep.
Then I was like fully like, okay, no, she's got it. This is great. And it was quite delightful.
Oh man, it's so funny. One of the things that I loved so much in the story, and I think to me it was the funniest part, because one of the funny things in it is the way that Wilde is constantly putting Sir Simon up against these Americans who with their can-do attitude and their stain remover. But one of the other things that happens throughout the story is there's this constant stream of references to past hauntings.
Right.
And all of the different ways in which Sir Simon has haunted people who've lived at Canterville Chase, and the characters he's played, and all of the terrible things he's done, the ways in which they have died. And it is endless and hilarious. Every single one is amazing. Like, it's incredibly dark but incredibly dry. Yeah. And it's one of those ones where, like, I'll go ahead and spoil this as far as the adaptations go. All of these are spoken by the narrator. They're all spoken by the writer. And how are you going to get those into a movie? And what ends up happening is Sir Simon just becomes the kind of person in every version who likes talking about his past successes.
Right.
They just give it to him to describe.
Some of them go even as far as to like give him a little like it's a familiar animal sidekick, so it's like he's talking to somebody and not just talking to himself.
Well, that's a problem we'll get into, won't we?
Yeah.
Like, so the Otis family move in. They are told that it is haunted, and they're like, whatever. And Sir Simon tries to frighten them, and they all react with intense practicality.
Yeah, that's so like the real comedy of the story is just how they're just so blasé about everything. It's great.
So there's the blood stain, like the blood stain that's left from when he killed his wife. So that's the whole story, is that Sir Simon, hundreds of years ago, killed his wife. Then her family walled him up in the house, and they haven't found his body, and so that's why his spirit remains. They're told it's haunted, and they're like, whatever. And they arrive, and there's this blood stain on the floor, and they're told, oh, that's his wife's blood stain. And they're immediately like, oh, we've got stain remover. Welcome to the modern world. And they take it right up. The housekeeper, Mrs. Umney, is like, what have you done? And then the stain keeps coming back. And like, this was my favorite joke in the story, and I'm going to go ahead and ruin it because it's relevant later. I adored the turn of the blood stain, because it talks about how the blood stain comes back, but it comes back in like slightly different colors, and like one time was emerald green. And Virginia, the older daughter, she ends up forming kind of a relationship with Sir Simon. And at one point later in the story, she's like, oh, and don't think I didn't notice that you were stealing all of my oil paints. Like, who thinks that a blood stain is green? And Sir Simon's like, what was I supposed to do? It's an amazing reveal for that. And it's like pages and pages later, and Oscar Wilde is just remember that seed I planted about the green blood? Well, there's an explanation for that. It's so good.
Yeah. The stain remover is just the first example, just one example of the kind of the jokes that Wilde is making about Americans, or I imagine just the British people's idea of Americans at the time the story was written is, very accurately it's just like all the Americans are like, they've got their can-do attitude. And they are really into products.
Yes. They're into products. They are not into spirituality. They don't care about any of that stuff.
Yeah.
It took me a little while to kind of wrap my head around the satire, because it was really clear that like there's the Americans. I understood that part of it. I feel like, and I've looked at different people's interpretations of it, and I don't know what your feelings on this are, but I feel like where I've come down on what Wilde was most likely trying to get across is you've got the complete unromantic pragmatism of the Americans coming up against the intense old-fashioned traditional values of the 100-year-old ghost, the several hundred-year-old ghost of the English lord who lives in their house, who represents everything traditional about like British aristocracy. And I got those two parts of it, but I felt like the part that I wasn't really getting for a while is kind of where it ends, because the thing that happens at the end, and it doesn't take very long, it's a pretty short part of the ending. Virginia finds out that she has the chance to basically plead Sir Simon's case and let him die, let him be at peace, finally. And she does. And later in the story, she's talking to her husband. They're looking at his grave. Virginia's talking to Cecil, her husband. He's like, you never told me what happened when you went away with Sir Simon on that thing. She's like, well, I'm not going to tell you. And he says, you should have no secrets. And you should have no secrets from your husband. And she says, I have no secrets from you. You never told me what happened when you were locked up with the ghost. She says, I have never told anyone, Cecil. I know that, but you must tell me. She says, please don't ask me, Cecil. I cannot tell you. Poor Sir Simon. I owe him a great deal. Yes, don't laugh, Cecil. I really do. He made me see what life is and what death signifies and why love is stronger than both. And the problem that I had is I think I kind of breezed over this a little bit when I was reading it. Mm-hmm. And then in watching all of the adaptations, I fell into this trap where everyone kind of leaned into the melodrama of that and tried to make that sound really romantic. Yeah. And so it wasn't helping me with it. And finally, I did a little more reading, and I feel like where I've landed is in the common interpretation, one of the common interpretations, which is that Wilde is basically going, here's the deal. The Americans are pragmatic idiots. And that's not the way to be. And Sir Simon is a traditional British aristocrat, and that is absolutely not the way to be. But Virginia is into good shit like love. Yeah. And that's the way to be. I like that interpretation of it. That feels right to me.
Well, it's interesting. It is weird how the story is this funny, witty kind of story, but ends very seriously, kind of. And I like that aspect of it. It's kind of neat, but I think that is ultimately the truth of what you're saying. That he is saying that she's got it. Mm-hmm. But it's a weird story, but in a great way. And it is also because of the dichotomy of what of the Americans and the ghost kind of representing, and maybe some of the other characters too, representing the older British values. It's interesting how he's making fun of the Americans in a lot of different ways in the book, but he also kind of is agreeing with them. I love the thing when Virginia is getting married, and then her father is basically like, I love this guy marrying my daughter. Personally, he's awesome. However, I cannot support marrying into British royalty or
the aristocracy.
The aristocracy. I cannot handle, and that part of the Americans' personality where they're steadfastly against any kind of royal titles or anything like that. I feel like Wilde is probably, he's probably agreeing with that. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to speak for him. I found the whole thing very, very interesting. It's just, it's a lot of different things.
It's such a good story, and I feel like there isn't, it's such a pure little piece of satire that I don't really think we need to explain it more. No. Because it's great and everyone should read it. And if you haven't, it's really, really good. It was a nice change for me because, like I said, the last time we talked about Wilde was The Picture of Dorian Gray, which is an incredibly effective piece of fiction, but it's not delightful the way this is.
Right. Yeah. There's some heavier themes in that one. Although the end of the ending theme of this is not light, No,
it's not, but it's quite light to get there.
Yeah. But yeah, I really liked the story a lot. Mm-hmm. I was a fan.
But then we were subjected to decades of adaptations of this thing. Now, I have my theories. Here's my hypothesis for why these are all so similar in so many ways, not all good. Mm-hmm. So it seems that over the years, many people have adapted the Canterville Ghost, usually for TV, not often for the big screen. And in almost every case, there is a name that gets cast as Sir Simon.
Right. It's got to be some kind of lauded British actor.
And so how is it that there are so many that star, I'm going to read off these names in a little bit. And we're not even going to refer to them. I don't even think referring to them by the year is going to be as good as just referring to them by the person who plays Sir Simon.
Yeah, that's how I think about them, really.
Yeah. The list is insane. Yeah. And yet, almost all of them are failures in a lot of really basic ways. None of them are very good. And the people who make them, these are not like, I don't think in any of them the people creating it are at the caliber of the person that has been cast as Sir Simon.
Yeah, it's interesting. There isn't really one you can think of that was made also that was where, you know, every single one has got some kind of towering figure in British theater or film, but I can't think of one that really had a towering figure behind the scenes.
Yeah, and it's not like, you know, it's not going to look at all these people and say, like, be dismissive about their careers just because they're not David Niven or John Gielgud or something like that.
Yeah.
Just two of the names we will talk about. The thing that is clear to me is that it seems like most of these towering stars didn't have someone to collaborate with in most cases. In one or two, I think there was some collaboration going on.
Yeah.
Like there were just, it's not like everyone else was operating at their level. And so what we ended up getting is what I think just a bunch of incredibly unsatisfying viewing experiences. And so here's my guess. Lots of people know the Canterville Ghost. Lots of people kind of like the Canterville Ghost. I'm not saying no one loves it. I think there are people who love it, but I think lots of people kind of like it. It's public domain, so anyone can make it. And the Oscar Wilde pedigree can attract talent.
Yeah.
But I don't think that anyone who's been in a position to adapt it really cares about it.
Yeah, it just seems like maybe a lot of people see it as an easy little thing to make.
Yeah.
That you can attach a big name to, and that's all you really need to do.
Because it's easy. Like, it's a ghost story. It's a ghost. Yeah. It's a story about a girl and her ghost.
That aspect did, most people correctly hung on to that. Like,
yes.
Yeah, the idea of, I don't think there's some of these adaptations stray a little bit far afield, but none of them stray very far from young girl and like friends with the ghost.
Yeah, like here's a way that they do stray. They all stray in terms of tone.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they're all tonally confused. Like, is this for kids? Some of these are absolutely kids movies. Yeah. Is it for adults? Well, some of them are kind of for adults, but each one is confused about who it's for, kids or adults. Is it satire? Is it melodrama? Is it just a ghost story? Is it a family movie? Is it literally just let's watch? Like there's one where it's just a family in a house. They're just a family. Yeah. There's no satire. There's nothing. Yeah. They happen to be American, but there's no satire to it. They just are American, and there's a ghost.
Yeah, it's that simple. There's a lot of them that seem like they're just like, they feel like it's supposed to be a family movie because there's a family in it.
Yes.
Which I think is a weird way to decide the tone of your film.
Yeah. So the tonal inconsistencies are crazy. And like none of them, I think, can handle the tonal shifts of the story. Like that shift from melodrama to like just outright comedy. And they really, like, more than anything, they kind of just lean into the melodrama of it. Yeah. And the satire becomes very, very minimal. Like the satire almost goes away in most of them. Even the comedy is very minimal. And the jokes are just like, Sir Simon said a funny thing. Yeah. Which sometimes is good and is funny. Yeah. There's oftentimes Sir Simon says a funny thing, even in some of the really bad ones. And those are funny moments. But it doesn't make it work.
Yeah.
So
that's for sure.
We're obviously here in the ones that don't work section.
Yeah.
So the first one we're going to talk about is 1974's David Niven version.
Yeah.
It's a TV movie. It was written and directed by Robin Miller. David Niven, by the way, new friend of the pod. There's going to be a lot of friends of the pod in this one.
Yep.
It's a 70s BBC production with all that entails. Like, it's competently shot and performed, but it's cheap and it's boring.
Yeah.
I don't know if you felt this way too about this one, but like the haunting scenes all take place in one hallway and they all involve Sir Simon moving incredibly slowly. He's also almost all the time that he's haunting, he's masked. So yeah, even the fact that like whether it's David Niven or not doesn't really matter.
Could have not been him. He could have been like, I'm taking those days off.
Yeah, exactly. Like I went back just to rewatch to jog my memory, and like there is one or two haunting moments where he is him, but most of the time he's just in a mask. And then the times that it's David Niven are when he's in his chambers soliloquizing about his past and all of his past achievements.
Yeah, this one, I tell you, Jeremy, there's. How this one looked with what we had to watch was really what like this doesn't, and it sucks because the one thing I'm going to say about this one doesn't have anything to do with the production.
No, well, it does, in that the production was not able to overcome this one technical issue.
The only way to watch this one is a very bad quality thing on YouTube that has been like AI upscaled in this horrible way. You say this all the time, and I'm going to say it too. It's a pickle. It's a pickle to look at.
Everybody in the background, their faces melt into the walls and stuff.
It does that thing that, I don't know, some people listening to this show might be familiar with this in like weird TikTok videos. I'm not on TikTok, but but that thing where like something is all like weirdly AI zoomed and upscaled to where like everybody looks like cell shaded.
Yeah.
And the close-ups in this, it's like their face looks like it's been drawn over by a cartoon. It's so weird to see that on like an old piece of media that looks really bad.
Yeah.
People move their heads and their face like morphs into the background.
And I will say, the thing that I think is relevant about this is that the production itself could not overcome for you this one weird modern technical aspect of watching it.
There's literally nothing else about it I remember.
Like the thing about it for this one is like it took me a bit to put my finger on why it wasn't working for me. Like then it occurred to me that every moment almost worked, and all for different reasons. Here's a notable cast member of this one. James Whitmore plays Hiram Otis. He plays the dad. James Whitmore, obviously Brooks, who was here in the Shawshank Redemption.
Brooks was indeed here. Yep.
He should be great, but because none of the scenes work that he's in, he feels wasted.
Yeah.
Some scenes don't work because of the staging. Some scenes don't work because of the pace. Some scenes don't work because the jokes don't work. Some scenes don't work because the music doesn't work. There's always something in every single scene that stops it from working, and then what you're left with is something bad because nothing works throughout the whole thing. But it's this amazing potpourri of things that can go wrong.
And maybe some of it is working, but you can't tell because you can't see what the hell's going on.
I didn't have as much of a problem with the AI upscale as you did.
I guess not, but it really bothered me.
I can see that. So I said before, like most of these handle the prose in a specific way, which is Sir Simon alone in his chambers soliloquizing to himself. The problem with this one is that David Niven is always playing it to the camera. Mm-hmm. He's never convincingly talking to himself or someone else. So like this might work on stage. Like when you're on stage, you can do direct address to the audience. But I feel like it's very, very tough to do direct address to a camera unless you're Matthew Broderick or something like that. Like people can come up with, there are examples of it working. I would say here it doesn't work. And I feel like with Sir Simon, in the ones that work better, you mentioned it before, they sometimes give him like a familiar, like an animal sidekick or something like that, which is just, it's just giving Batman a Robin. It's just like, here's someone you can talk to. Yeah. But even then, some of them have a Sir Simon who is convincingly talking to himself. Because you can also, like a character can just talk to themselves. But I feel like you need to pick. You need to pick what they're doing. You need to come up with it and make sure everybody is aligned on who it is that Sir Simon is addressing. And I feel like just addressing the camera is not enough.
In a lot of different ways, all the different people playing this character in all these adaptations, doing the talking to themselves bit, can work really well because, I mean, it's what these guys are made for. Because doing a thing where you're talking to yourself like that is an incredibly theatrical thing to do. That's what these guys do. And so it can work. But yes, if playing it to the camera kind of messes that whole thing up, I think.
Yeah. So let's move on, because then in 1985, there was another TV movie. It was directed by William F. Claxton. It was written by B.W. Sandefur, Joseph Moore, and Bradley Wigger. And it starred, do you want to do the joke, or shall I do the joke?
Which one is this?
Well, they spared no expense.
Right.
Because Richard Kiley plays the ghost. Right. This is not a 70s classic BBC production. This is a shitty American family TV movie from the 80s with all that entails. So, like, it's overly heartfelt and sincere and melodramatic. It takes place in Canterville Chase, this British estate. It's literally shot in Beverly Hills. It's shot in like a Tudor revival that, if you like, I'm going to link to it. I can't remember exactly what the name of the house is, but I'll link to it so people can see like all the different productions it's shown up in. But like, pick a TV show or movie, it has shown up in that because it's literally in Beverly Hills.
Yeah, it's really funny. There's some of these that are American produced, and one of them that we'll talk about, I think, is like interesting because of that.
Yeah.
And this one is the opposite of that. I don't know, like whatever the opposite of that is.
Like, do you know what this one doesn't have? This one doesn't have Brits doing bad American accents because the family are all American. But that's because everyone is American. So Mrs. Umney, the housekeeper, is Mary Wicks, who is wonderful. We've talked about her before. She was in Sister Act and the 94 Little Women. She's been in many things. She's wonderful. Her English accent is tragic. Sometimes it sounds Scottish and sometimes it sounds English. You know, it never sounds Scottish. It always sounds American with a hint of Scottish, or American with a hint of Cockney, or American with a hint of, like, you know, more of a refined accent, or American with a hint of Irish. It's super inconsistent and I feel really bad.
Yeah.
The dad, Barry Van Dyke, famously Dick's son. I think he played a cop in Diagnosis Murder. What a fucking handsome, tall man. Holy shit.
I just feel like the person playing the dad is always like that decade that it was made's like kind of dad man actor.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
And so they always feel akin to the decade that it was, the year it was produced. Yeah, there's no exception here. Yes, he's very handsome.
He's the most 1985 dad you could find in anything. And he's square-jawed and boring. He's so boring. The satire is gone. There's nothing about the Americans. Like, do you know what the Americans are? Where's their can-do spirit? You know what they are? They're scared. They're scared of the ghost. The ghost does a haunting, and his wife says to him, "He looks so terrible. Do you think it's safe for us to stay here?" That's not a question that should be asked by anyone in the Otis family. That's not what Oscar Wilde wrote. Don't do that. I want to talk about the kids for a second, specifically the two sons, because Virginia in this one, she's very young, and the actress hasn't really been in a lot, but the two sons are Christian Jacobs, lead singer of the Aquabats and co-creator of Yo Gabba Gabba, and fucking Brian Austin Green.
It's such a weird factoid, the two of them.
Who is so at home in Beverly Hills, I tell you. And like, yes, it's fun that it's the two of them, but like, they're just kids.
Yeah.
They're not like rambunctious scamps who do lots of pranks on him.
No.
They're just kids. They're just a normal family, and like a normal TV family.
Yeah. They would have been perfect for doing pranks on the ghost.
Yeah.
Why didn't they do that?
They did a little bit. They did play a couple of pranks. Didn't they? I think they did a thing where they like set up a string and Sir Simon fell down. Like, tripped on it and
had
fell
to walk
down
into some cellophane or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Something like that.
Not really that. That's the joke about a boring prank. But
they crept into his quarters when they found him and put his hand in a cup of warm water.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah. but before we move on, let's talk about Richard Kiley.
Okay.
We talked about Richard Kiley on the show before when we did The Little Prince, and like, I mean, this is a man who was built for the stage, built for musical theater. Famously was Cervantes and Don Quixote in Man of La Mancha. I mean, like, Dream the Impossible Dream. That's Richard Kiley. Like, he's really good. And he might be fine in a different version, but this one has no idea what it's doing with Sir Simon.
No.
He kind of shows up and does the creepy thing, but then, you know, this is the story of a girl and her ghost. There's the scene where he first sees Virginia. And she, by the way, in this moment, is staring out the window at the lamest dance party I've ever seen. Because it's it's her two brothers, her two shithead brothers, hanging out with these two local British girls, and they're just jumping around in the yard dancing, and it is so lame.
It really does feel, even though it's so lame, that the production is trying to show us that these kids are having like a cool dance party.
Yep.
And she's on the outside.
There's even like an actual party scene later where it's like that dialed up to 10. But anyway, he sees her. He is playing the hell out of this moment. Like, it is clear that Sir Simon is like touched by this lonely little girl. It is so dramatic, and he is playing the hell out of it. But what the fuck is this scene doing? What's the point? That's not the story. It doesn't help the story along. It doesn't really go anywhere because they build kind of a relationship, but like their relationship isn't just built on like he sees her and is like, oh, this poor kid. That's not interesting. It's not interesting. It's boring, in fact.
In the story, it's not that he becomes friends with her because she's like lonely.
Yeah, it's like someone saying, well, yeah, so one of the characters takes pity on the other ones and befriends them. It's like, oh, so the ghost takes pity on the lonely little girl. No, what? No,
yeah,
the girl
it should be the
takes
other way around.
no, the girl takes pity on the depressed ghost that can't scare anybody.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, was it? Oh, we already shot it. Oh, no.
Oh, no, we did the opposite thing.
So that one doesn't work. Next, 1997. Another TV movie.
Yeah.
This one we almost didn't watch because it didn't show up in any of the lists I was looking at. And then I found out about it late in the process and I sprung it on you, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, you should be, because we should have just not watched it.
Yeah, this is the worst. This is the worst one, right?
Well, it's like, I feel like it's the worst one and the most, and no, I don't know. I mean, maybe it is the worst one. So maybe it is stands out, has some peculiarity around it, but also it's redundant. Like I don't know. It doesn't.
It has no
do
reason
anything
for being
differently. Yeah.
Yep. So it was directed by Crispin Reese and written by Olivia Hetreed, and it starred Ian Richardson as Sir Simon.
Yeah.
Ian Richardson, an incredibly good actor who, for whatever reason, when we've looked at him on this show, he's in things that we don't like, and that is that's a bummer. But like he originated the like lead role in like the British House of Cards, that kind of thing. Okay, Ian Richardson's real good. This is a low-budget 90s TV movie with all that entails. Like, it is trying desperately and failing to look like a 90s prestige picture. The music is synthesized orchestral score that always sounds terrible. It's totally willing to use newer tropes from popular entertainment. Like, this has 3 ghost hunters, which is weirdly not ripping off Ghostbusters. It's more like it's ripping off movies that reference Ghostbusters. Like, do you know what it made me think of? It made me think of Casper.
Okay. You mean, yeah, sure.
Like the movie.
When there's a montage of references to other ghost hunting movies. Yeah.
It totally feels like that's all it was doing. This one's so bad.
There's some names in this one, though. I mean, I wouldn't say names, but there was some fun surprise. I mean, James Darcy,
yes, as
the the romantic interest,
whether the Duke. He's always the Duke, or
whatever, and he's always like, oh yeah, it's not a big deal that I'm a Duke,
well, usually he's like really nice and stuff, and in this one he's a classist piece of shit.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's very strange. We have 2 friends of the pod in this one.
Okay.
Because Celia Imrie plays the mom.
That's who I was going to say next. Yeah.
And she's already a friend of the pod, making another appearance, and she is doing the weirdest. It's actually like, I think, a pretty good Southern accent.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, I really like her. So you've seen all these things with her from the podcast. The thing I know her from is Better Things, which is Pamela Adlon's show that's over now, but she plays Pamela Adlon's mom on that show, because the character she plays, Sam, has got like a British mom who's like lives in like a house that she bought for her next door to her, and is like kind of slowly going senile, and she's fantastic. So it was kind of fun to see her in this.
Yeah, Celia Imrie's great.
Who else popped up in this? Is Ian McNeice?
Ian McNeice is now a new friend of the pod.
Nice.
Yep.
I always like seeing him. I like him quite a bit, so it was fun when he showed up there.
Because he shows up, he's one of the ghost hunters, isn't he?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So that's he's bullshit, like but still.
Professor something or other, yeah.
I still like Ian McNeice, so that's fine.
Of course,
yeah. This one's frustrating because in some ways it is the closest to the original story.
Yeah.
The Otis family are as American as can be, and their reactions to Sir Simon vex him in the right ways.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they make Hiram, the dad, they make him a traveling salesman instead of, in the story, he's a minister, but they make him a traveling salesman, which I actually think works if the whole thing about them is they're super into products.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. There's definitely versions of this that would work really well with that. Like,
yeah. But it's almost more frustrating because the production is so bad.
Yeah.
The American accents are first tier terrible.
You said we didn't need to talk about it, Jeremy.
No, but like, this is the worst one, so it's really notable. Yeah. I don't want to dunk on someone who I'm sure is a fine actor, but was not set up for success in this one. But Sarah Jane Potts plays Virginia.
Yeah.
I think she comes off the worst accent-wise because she's in most of it. She's in more than anyone else.
She's featured the most. It's a lot of attention on that character, as it always is. And if you're struggling with the accent, then it's just going to make it worse.
Yeah, and she is struggling with the accent. It's real bad. The pacing is bad. The romantic subplot is melodramatic and annoying. Most of the jokes don't work. It can't manage the tone by the end of it. By the way, what is the speech? They gave Celia Imrie a speech about the beautiful American South and the carpet-bagging Yankees that would come down to ruin the whole thing. What's that about?
What that is about is that when British actors have to do American accents, most of them are like, you got to let me do a Southern accent. Because that's like the way that they can get away with it the best. And so a lot of the times these characters ended up being somewhat Southern.
Yeah, but why did she have to be so like her whole thing was like the South will rise again. Like that was like, that's not just because she wanted to do the accent. That was a choice.
No. Yeah. I mean, so yes, it is worse because of that.
Yes. Do you know what's the only thing that actually comes close to working in this one for me?
What's that?
Ian Richardson delivers a lot of one-liners that are pretty great.
Okay.
He's really funny, and occasionally he just has one-liners, and they're good. Also, this thing happened that like I really liked the idea of, because when he finally like partners up with Virginia by the end of it, and it becomes clear that like she can help, bring him his eternal rest and get him out of the family's hair. Mm-hmm. They're kind of at each other in a way that is kind of like it's very buddy cop, a very Odd Couple thing, and I kind of love that idea. The execution is terrible, but like I kind of like the idea.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you know what like kind of worked for me in this one?
What's that?
Nothing. What's next?
You beautiful son of a bitch. In 2021, there was a miniseries. It was directed by Paul Gibson and Suri Krishnama and written by Jude Tyndall, and it starred. It still is weird for me that everyone calls him Anthony Head, and that's how he's credited, because he's Anthony Stewart Head and Anthony Stewart Head as Sir Simon Canterville.
Yeah, that's just what it is. We're allowed this. It doesn't matter. We can call him Anthony Stewart Head.
I'm going to call him Anthony Stewart Head because that has always been his name for me. And
I'll only call him that or Tony Head.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, this Anthony Head thing. What is that?
I will call it. That's if you're going to shorten it, man, then go to Tony Head.
Yep. Just to be clear, everybody, he was Giles on Buffy, and he's a wonderful performer, and I love seeing him in so many things.
Me too.
There's a fun little reunion in this one, not a reunion, but a pre-union, I guess.
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah, Tony Head was in Ted Lasso, and so was James Lance, who plays Hiram. He was Trent Crimm, the Independent. Ted Lasso's a really good show. If anyone thinks that Ari should watch Ted Lasso with me, please email in, because Ari still won't watch it with me.
Man, this long running. Maybe someday, man.
Well, no, at this point, we never should, because it will. Yeah. I've been pushing it way too hard for way too long, and it will never live up to what, it will only be a disappointment.
Like maybe the first or second season will, but then the third season will kind of like, I don't know. I think it'll.
The third season has some of the best stuff in it.
No, I'm not downplaying. I'm just saying that like I don't think it'll end up winning Ari over in the way that you hope it will, and so you should, I don't know. Yeah,
no, I mean, I've gone from not talking about it for a while to talking about it on the show, so this is really, I'm definitely doing this the right way. Anyway, I was really excited that James Lance was in it because I really enjoy him on Ted Lasso. And I had this experience where it started and I just didn't think about the fact that he was going to be playing American until he opened his mouth. And then it was like, oh no. And his American accent is so bad.
Yeah, he's like kind of going a little bit Southern with it. Like a little bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's almost not even Southern. It's almost like I don't know, like Midwestern kind of thing. I don't know what he's trying to do.
A little Midwestern. He and his wife and family, they're supposed to be from Boston. There's an amazing reference to them being from Boston that I love because the mom, basically like after one of the episodes, they get invited to more like society things. And she says, I've been invited to do a talk about Boston cuisine, which is the funniest goddamn thing I've ever heard. Because that's not a thing. Never has been, never will be.
It's super weird. So there's a lot of weird choices with this.
Well, I didn't even say what it is.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
It is a 4-episode miniseries that should have been a TV movie.
Yeah.
It is insufferable in how it stretches the story out into 4 episodes.
It's funny because we just did the Turn of the Screw episode, which also we talked about was like kind of interminable, but at least it ended with the Mike Flanagan series.
Yep. I like how talking about Mike Flanagan might be your thing that you get to do every episode. Just so everybody knows, 2 very good movies are All About Eve and A Knight's Tale. Also, Ian likes Mike Flanagan.
Ooh, that's I guess that's my thing. I'm fine with that. So, but here's what I was thinking while watching this. It's another thing that kind of mirrors this series that we're doing with the Turn of the Screw. Is that this wasn't the last thing, but it was close to the end. This adaptation is kind of like what Flanagan does, except bad.
And we're talking, just so everybody knows, we're talking about The Haunting of Bly Manor. So if you didn't listen to, if anyone didn't listen to the Turn of the Screw episode, there was this 9-episode Netflix series that came out a couple of years ago that we ended up really enjoying. It was, because I think I see where you're going, where like it is an adaptation of the Turn of the Screw, but it also expands it and adds a lot of characters and adds a lot of storylines.
Adds a lot of things, fills in things, the characters, there's all these other subplots and all this other stuff. And in The Haunting of Bly Manor, that's all very delightful to me.
Yes.
And this is just like the worst possible, like, but it's just like, add a whole half an episode. Like,
can I go through what the episodes are about?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Okay.
The first, go ahead.
So yes, they move into the house and there's a ghost. Sure. And that's like kind of part of it, but like, that's not really what the show's about because episode 1 is about a horse race because we need villains. And Virginia in this one, she races horses and does the jumpies with the horses.
Yeah.
And she gets into a horse race and there's a villain. And so there's this lady because there's the minor love interest from the story. Well, he needs a scheming granny and a shitty fiance and they are antagonists. And the scheming granny is always trying to embarrass the Otises who have moved into Canterville Chase. So there's a big horse race in the first episode. Oh, and then in the second and Ginny does not win, but she gets second place. And then in episode 2, it's the cricket match. And they organize this giant cricket match. And there's going to be like a member of royalty who is there. And it's the Otises make their scrappy little team. And they do really badly. And that's what most of the episode is about, a fucking cricket game. Yep. And then episode 3, oh no, the dad, his company, because his company, Hiram Co., which is stupid. He's basically like a James Dyson kind of guy where he invents.
Yes, that's what I want to talk about. Is that he's kind of like, his character in this is kind of like a tech billionaire trope, like in a way. I guess he's probably more of like a tech millionaire, but it's so weird that it's like he's that, but because he invented a vacuum cleaner. Like, yes. And I understand, yes, the Dyson parallel is probably pretty accurate because that's probably exactly what they're going for. But it's so weird to imagine a guy like to not only be like with a big enough, rich enough company that there's a whole plot line about them being in trouble and he's going to lose all his money. Yeah. Because he invented a vacuum cleaner. I just think that's silly.
Yep. He invented a vacuum cleaner and then they left the company to be in better hands and those hands were bad and then the company folds. And that's episode 3 is they find out that they're destitute and all they have is Canterville Chase.
Yeah. I just want to make it clear to everybody. These episodes are there's 4 of them. They're an hour long. The entire second half, full 30 minutes of both the first and the second episode are just entirely a horse race and a cricket match, respectively.
That's it. That's it. No Sir Simon. And then finally, episode 4 is all about Sir Simon because this one's the trial. And in the story, Virginia is going to plead his case to like the angel of death, whatever. And we never see it. We just hear about it. And in this one, and in most versions, like you either don't see it at all or you see it a little bit and you see her kind of pleading. But it's not like a trial.
They don't make a thing out of it.
Yeah. This is a trial. And Virginia, well, they set up early on that she was going to be a lawyer, but she doesn't want to be a lawyer anymore. And so now she has to be Sir Simon's lawyer. And there's the goddamn judge and prosecutor, and they call witnesses. And that's the whole episode. And it turns out this is, okay. The trial, yes, let's completely change the story and make Sir Simon an angry guy who was innocent and always intended to do the right thing. He was innocent the whole time. Never killed his wife. Never did. Yeah. They like create a mystery in the show. Okay. Those are the 4 episodes.
Yeah.
This should have, if I was being uncharitable, I would say this shouldn't have been anything. But if I'm being fair, if it was going to exist, it should not have been 4 episodes. It should have been a movie, and they should have cut the horse race and the cricket match and the tech billionaire stuff, and just have it be about the house. There's actually a sweet thing that's kind of like house focused, where Hiram is like fixing Mrs. Umney, the maid. He's fixing her vacuum cleaner, and it's kind of sweet, and because it's just focused on the people living in Canterville Chase.
Nice.
It's like,
and this one, like the special effects look bad.
Yes.
For like even for 2021, but it's got production value. They're in that beautiful like that Castle-y estate thing.
Yes,
is in a bazillion things now. I don't know for sure. I think it's the same Castle-y estate thing that they shoot the reality show The Traitors in.
It might be. I mean, it's the same one they shot the John Gielgud version in.
Yeah, right. So, like, I just feel like it's one of those things that like 1 million productions just use because it just has a look about it. But the problem is that some people dress it up, and some people just like, this is just a bunch of like shots, like establishing shots of it, and then them standing out in the front garden thing, looking out over some stuff a bunch of times. Like, it's so bland.
Yeah, it's super bland. They definitely have the unpopulated. They have the too small party problem, which is like, we're going to have a party, but we can't hire that many actors. So it's not going to look like that fun of a party, but we're going to act like it is a very, very cheap thing. You know, the most frustrating thing about all these storylines is that Sir Simon has virtually nothing to do with them.
Yeah.
They constantly in 4 episodes, not constantly, but they often cut back to Tony Head talking to his rat familiar named Cesspit,
yeah.
Who is a talking rat.
See, this is the only one where they go even farther and have it not just that he has a little sidekick that he can monologue to, but the sidekick can talk back to him.
Yes,
because it's a little bad looking CGI rat who can talk.
Yep. It is really lame when in the 4th episode the rat has to do the Lassie thing and convince everyone to follow him to find the kids who are like trapped in a dungeon or something. It doesn't. It doesn't matter.
It's dumb.
My problem is, like, they could have cut back to him soliloquizing in his chambers twice as much or half as much. It wouldn't actually change anything because every single time we see him, it's totally divorced from whatever's happening on the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's like they shot the whole thing in one day and just spread it out. The scenes have nothing to do with anything. It's just, here's our Sir Simon being a ghost. And like, I think Anthony Stewart Head is awesome.
Yeah. And you know, all of this bad we're saying, I think that what he's in, like, he's doing something interesting.
Yes.
It's not bad what he's doing. It's just so divorced from everything. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. We didn't even talk about the Romany like clan that live on the land.
Right. This is the only one that actually uses that from the story, right? Or does something, one of the other ones do it?
I can't remember. Yeah.
This is the only one that's like featured.
But there's like, this one adds mysteries where there's like a treasure that's hidden in the house that they have to find.
Right.
And,
well, because there has to be a treasure because Hiram Coe's liquidation situation, the family has to be saved some way from that.
Yeah.
So there has to be treasure to find.
But there's also a subplot where the reason they've come here is because Hiram is trying to find his like lineage, and he knows that there is an Otis from way back when whose name was Simeon Otis. And like it was painfully obvious that there was going to be some kind of relationship between Simeon Otis and Simon Canterville. And I'll go ahead and ruin it. I don't even care. But it turns out that Simeon was Simon's son. And that is the big reveal, is that they're all Cantervilles. Anyway, this was lame. Then
it's a damn shame.
Yep. Then we can move on to the last one that we watched, which was the 2023 animated movie that was directed by Kim Burden and written by Giles New and Kieran Self. It came out very recently, and it starred Stephen Fry as Sir Simon. By the way, I have an apology to make to Stephen. Mr. Fry, you should have been a friend of the pod already. I counted wrong. You are a friend of the pod, and you have been in 6 things that we have watched. This is one of them. And now I will make it up to you by dunking on this terrible thing that
I'm sure you were tricked into being in.
Yes. But I'm sure you were paid well for. And like it's upsetting that obviously Stephen Fry is going to play Simon Canterville at some point, because he's kind of perfect for it, and he was the perfect Oscar Wilde. And if anyone should have a hand in bringing one of his stories to the screen, it should be him. Mm-hmm. And I actually think he does a good job, considering.
Sure, I mean, he's Stephen Fry.
As a voice, but the script is boring, and his presence doesn't help that.
Yeah,
this is
so bad.
An aggressively middling modern animated movie.
Like. So first of all, I was reading, I didn't go too much into depth, but this was supposed to come out in like 2016 and was shelved for like 7 years.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah. So like, that's one thing. Like this, above and beyond, above everything else, like, I mean, obviously like the script is bad. I'm not going to dispute that, but it's just like, I hate this animation.
Yeah.
I hate it. Like,
it's just so everyone can picture it. It's like, it's 3D, but everything is really stiff. There's like no movement to anything.
Yeah.
So like as long as no one is moving, it looks okay. But then as soon as anyone starts moving, you really see how this is a very low budget animated movie.
The whole end thing with like death and death's like world.
Yeah.
Like what the fuck was that? Like,
so they go to the garden. Death is a gardener in the garden outside the house. The whole third act is a giant battle between Sir Simon and literal Death.
Yeah, but Death has got like a weird like Harlequin like thing going on. Like, yes. I don't get it.
He constantly changes shape and everything like that and turns into different people. He's also voiced by friend of the pod, Hugh Laurie. Uh-huh. I don't know if you know, did you know that Stephen Fry and Hugh Laurie work together a lot? Were you?
Yes. I was aware of this.
They work together a bit. A bit, yes. So the thing that got me about all of this is they're fighting because Death is like, if you can't defeat me, you have to live in my garden forever, but so does she. And he points at Virginia. And they're like, no, we have to fight. And this kills me because they're fighting a villain, which the story doesn't need. And the villain is Death. And what I just don't understand is why Death would care about getting Virginia, because doesn't Death get everybody eventually anyway? Why does Death care?
And the whatever the boy's name is in this one, he also gets in there, and it's like, also if you just like are banging on the gate enough so that you eventually get into the garden, then you're just dead. Like, like that's weird.
Yeah.
Like, what is to like? It's just
there. I guess I just have like a couple other quick things, like because this is a kids movie. I guess it makes sense that Sir Simon didn't kill his wife. That's the thing we find out.
Sure.
He tells the story. He's accused of killing his wife. He's accused of drowning her. But then he tells the story, and he's like, no, she fell in the water, and I couldn't save her. And it turns out he was an actor. That was his big thing. And I will say I kind of liked the animation whenever he was telling a story, because they did this like paper cutout kind of. Oh yeah,
no, that was nice because it was different and was kind of like
yeah. Like that was good. But it was boring. It was just super boring. And it didn't really explain why Sir Simon was the character that he was, if he was just as this innocent guy. The whole thing is that Sir Simon he was a really shitty person who did a really terrible thing, and you actually have to think about like repentance. You know, like you actually need to think about like reflecting on your own misdeeds. And this story doesn't need any of that because he had no misdeeds. This is the other problem I had with the Tony Head one too, because he didn't actually do anything wrong.
Yeah,
that's annoying. The cast is kind of crazy. Freddie Highmore is the love interest.
Yeah.
David Harewood is in it. Imelda Staunton, Toby Jones, Miranda Hart. There's a lot of really good people. Some of whom we've talked about before. This one reeks of Punch Up. Did you get that sense from it too?
Yeah, except all the Punch Up was so bad.
No, but there were constantly lines being said off screen. Like characters would walk out of frame and they would like drop one zinger. It absolutely felt like it was added after the fact.
100%.
That's just lame.
Terrible. It was really rough.
This was nice. This was nice to get all of those out of the way.
Yeah. Get it out of our system so we can talk about some kind of okay ones.
Yeah, but like so far we've got the David Niven one, the Richard Kiley one, the Ian Richardson one, the Anthony Stewart Head one, and the Stephen Fry one. Like that's not for nothing, but that's a really good lineup, I would say.
I mean, yeah, it's like we said, some towering figures.
Yeah. Now, before we get to the ones that work, let's talk about the one that I think.
Oh, that's right.
Works.
I'm very curious to find out what you thought was interesting about this one.
Okay.
Because this one, I think what the hell is up with? I think that was my only note on this one is just like what the hell, because
it's insane.
It's insane, and I know that's why it's interesting to you. But please go ahead.
In 1966, there was a show called ABC Stage 67 that did like plays and stuff like that, and so it aired in his episode of that. It was directed by John Robbins. It was written by Bert Shevelov, who also wrote A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum, which you and I were in together in high school.
We sure were.
Yeah. Inappropriate play for high schoolers to be doing. I realize that now. With lyrics by Sheldon Harnick and music by Jerry Bach. Bach and Harnick also did She Loves Me, which we talked about, and Fiddler on the Roof, which we were also together in high school.
Yep. A lot of musical pedigree in this production.
Yeah. You've always been the laser wolf to my Tevye.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
I think about it often.
I barely tolerate you, and I wish you would. I don't want you to marry my daughter. And it stars Michael Redgrave as Sir Simon, who we just talked about in Turn of the Screw.
Yeah.
It's got a notable cast too, like Douglas Fairbanks Jr. is the dad. Not Douglas Fairbanks Jr.
Yeah.
But still. Natalie Schaefer is the mom. People may say, who's Natalie Schaefer? She's Mrs. Goddamn Lovey Howell from Gilligan's Island.
Yes. Peter
Peter Noon is the love interest. You know, Herman, the guy with the hermits. This one is hard to categorize because it is utterly weird and batshit. So like there's bad stuff in it. It is a musical.
Yeah.
I mentioned lyrics and music. It is a musical. And the songs, they're not good.
No,
they're not. But like something I think I'll keep coming back to is that this is like a really good first draft of a good show. But it's like a first draft. Like it's not even previews. It's a first draft. This needs so much work before you should ever perform it. It does a thing at the beginning that really annoyed me where the guy who sells the Otises the house, who's also played by Michael Redgrave, he's like the current Lord Canterville, and he plays Sir Simon. He tells them that there is a ghost. He tells them that it's Sir Simon, and he tells him that it's fine because Sir Simon is silly and not scary, which completely ruins it. That ruins it. That is not the point. Like Bert, you're very funny sometimes, but Mr. Shevelov, you don't understand the story that you're adapting, I think. The whole thing feels like community theater. Some people are very good, like Michael Redgrave is incredibly good. Natalie Schaefer is really bad in this, and in a very community theater kind of way.
But
you just don't understand how I'm going to
like,
say anything good about this.
Yeah, well, I don't. Well, I mean, okay. Well, I know one thing you're going to say good about it.
What's that?
And that's the one thing that was kind of fun for me too. And you texted me about it before I watched it. It was like a TV show, and there were commercials.
The commercials are amazing.
The show was obviously like sponsored or completely created by this like one by Burlington.
Yeah.
It was not yet the Coat Factory, just Burlington, and which was
I don't even know if it's the same company.
I mean, you're right. I don't know either, but the font is the same.
Okay, yeah.
So I assume that it's connected.
All I'm saying is those fiberglass curtains looked amazing and luxurious.
Those things were so dangerous. Like fiberglass curtains, like you can't touch them. Like they give you those fiberglass splinters. So apparently at this point in time, Burlington was just a like fabric everything's like empire.
You're going on about the Burlington thing for way longer than I expected, but please continue.
But what else matters here?
The production itself.
No.
The commercials are all amazing, and they are, I will agree, the best part of it. But getting back to the production.
Well, yes, I'm going to get back to the production because I wanted to say that it's kind of cool how there being all these commercials feels tied in to the Otises being like stain remover and this and like there's a bunch of different and that also lends itself to songs is to have their every time that they be like this product, like then you can have a song about it.
Yeah, they do 3 jingles in it that are all they do 3 different songs that are all the same music, but they're all about a separate product that they're using to like remove the stain or oil the chains or something like that.
I thought it would have been fun if those were like real products that were also in the commercials. But
yes,
like,
it would.
That would have maybe been
fun.
A bit too far.
But that stuff would happen during the songs too, because like I didn't like the way most of the songs were shot because everyone would sing straight down the barrel.
Yeah,
and it just felt again very like community theater. But like every now and then there were these cuts. Like during the first song about the stain remover, there's this cut back to the housekeeper that is goddamn hysterical, and it like completely intentional. It was like funny people doing funny things and doing editing in a funny way. And I love that. Yeah, doing editing, doing funny. They were doing funny, and I thought they were doing funny really good. Some of the lines I thought was good. Remember when Sir Simon walks past and the wife says to the dad, "Are we in a draft?" And he says, "All England's in a draft." Like, that's good stuff. There's a thing where Peter Noone is singing a song. He sings a song to Virginia about how amazing she is. It's a nice little love song. I actually think it's one of the better songs in the show, but he's like describing her to herself, which, you know, I think any relationship is founded on something like that. But there's a whole thing where Virginia goes missing, and it's in every version of the story because she's missing because she's with Sir Simon, like pleading his case. But everyone's looking for her.
She's like in the nether realm or whatever.
Yeah, in this one. A cop shows up and is talking to the guy, and he's like, "Can you describe her?" And so to describe her, he starts singing the song that he was singing before.
All right, that's pretty funny, yeah.
Which is pretty funny, but then they cut to other characters in a separate part of the stage, and he's still in the background singing the song, just much quieter, and it's really funny. And I'm not even sure how that would work on stage.
All right, you reminded me of jokes. You're kind of selling me a little bit.
It's real good. Like, ultimately, this is a first draft. Like, Bach and Harnick were clearly phoning it in, but they're still Bach and Harnick. The running gag of songs being jingles for products, it seems like it would work well. The same actor playing Canterville and the Ghost would be super fun on stage. This feels like a first draft of a good stage musical. And it is notable and camp, and it's really fun and also terrible. Have I convinced you that it's not so bad?
Yeah, a little bit. But also, you know, I mean, it was in the middle ground for me just because it's so crazy that you would make something like this.
I know, and yet they did, and I'm happy about it.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is great because now we get to the ones that work. So the first one that works, again, they're not great, but but they work.
Jeremy?
Yeah?
I know we're just starting to talk about these 3 that work for us. I'm going to jump right onto the situation.
Yeah.
What's your favorite one?
Oh, the 96 one, the Patrick Stewart one.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
I think this is my favorite one.
Oh, yeah. So when you say this, you mean 1944's version with Charles Laughton as Sir Simon.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think it's my favorite because it is one of the ones, it's probably the largest departure adaptation. Like, in a big way. And I don't know. I think it's probably like, you know,
I don't know. The 97 one was a really big departure because the story's really funny and good, and that one was really unfunny and bad.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, you mean like the plot is different? Yes, you're right.
Yes. And this one, because this one is what I was mentioning before when I was bringing up one that was also an American production, and I think is more interesting because of it.
Yeah.
Why don't you describe, who's involved and what's different about this one?
Yeah, what are we talking about here? So it was directed by Jules Dessin, and it was written by Edwin Blum. And as I said, it starred Charles Laughton as Sir Simon. The plot has been changed in 3 key ways. One, Sir Simon's character and his death is characterized very differently than the original story, because they're not characterized by like he murdered someone and was bad and he is learning to atone. He is characterized by cowardice. Like he didn't kill his wife instead, and this is all prologue. Like there's a whole in the past prologue.
Yeah, this is the only one that does that, where where you actually see like his whole origin story. Essentially,
he didn't kill his wife. Instead, he pledged to fight for his brother's honor because his brother couldn't fight. But then he chickened out, and he ran home. And his own dad, played by friend of the pod, Reginald Owen, his own dad is like, no, you can wall him up in there and let him die. That's fine, because no son of mine's a coward. Yeah. And it's real sad and kind of a bummer of a way to start the story.
It is, but I thought like how the whole thing, like the whole process of him, accepting the challenge for his brother, the whole genesis of that, I thought was very funny, because it is like this thing where his brother is canoodling with this guy's betrothed lady. The guy who's betrothed to this woman challenges the brother.
By the way, the brother is Peter Lawford, who's like literally in the Rat Pack.
Right. So the brother is like, I might lose this. I'm like, I don't have much on this guy.
Well, he's going to lose because he's stabbed.
Well, there's that too. Yeah, good
he's
point.
been stabbed. No,
he's been stabbed. Yes.
No, he feels very confident. He just can't use one of his arms because he's been stabbed.
Right. So he gets his brother Sir Simon to be his champion because Sir Simon's a big guy.
Yeah,
he's a big guy, and the challenger guy he's I wouldn't call him a little man, but he's just a regular sized man.
Yeah.
And then I just think it's so funny that that's one thing, and then the challenger, then confronted with Sir Simon's size, decides to bring in an even bigger, meaner looking champion, and Sir Simon is like a coward in the face of that.
Yes.
The whole back and forth of that is very funny.
It's very funny. But then he dies, and that brings us into the story. And then the way this factors into the plot is that he won't be at peace until a Canterville shows bravery.
Yes.
This is the curse of the Cantervilles, is that they are all cowards.
Right.
And that is new. That's new and different. No one's done it before. No one had done it before. No one's done it since. The second big difference is the Otis family is gone.
Yeah.
In their place is the goddamned United States Army Rangers.
Yeah. It's World War II, and there is an entire platoon of U.S. Army Rangers who are being garrisoned at the castle.
They have like a real leader, but like the informal leader is Cuffy Williams, who's played by Robert Young. I actually kind of like the way, we can talk about more about this in a minute, but like I kind of like the way he's not necessarily set up as the main character at the beginning. He kind of steps into being the main character over the course of the first like half hour of it. I kind of like the way that happened.
Yeah, it was interesting.
But he befriends Lady Jessica de Canterville, who is the lady of the estate. And you might think, oh, well, this is how they're doing the love story. No. Because Lady Jessica is played by Margaret O'Brien, a tiny child. Yes. There's actually a really funny scene where they're like, it is announced that Lady Jessica will be coming in, and all of the Army Rangers are all like, oh, geez, a real lady. I've never seen a lady before. And this tiny little like prim and proper Margaret O'Brien walks in, and every single scene she has with the platoon, everyone is more adorable than the one before. They're all great.
It's so good.
They're so good.
It's why I like it the most. Like it's so weird, the choices that they make, but they're choices that just fit for this era and exactly the kind of movies that they were just like, have a platoon of lovable soldiers.
Yeah.
And because it's like every movie they made in the 40s was like was like this, essentially just like, aren't America's soldiers just the best?
Yeah.
Aren't they just a lovable bunch of galoots? In reality, probably not so much. But
this reality, we're talking about the Canterville Ghost, and you're talking about reality. what's that about?
But I do love that.
So those are two big changes. And then the third big change is that it turns out that Cuffy is a Canterville because he's got the Canterville birthmark on his neck, which is not how that works.
Not how birthmarks work, but some movies seem to want to make it that way.
So if he shows bravery and mows down some Nazis, Sir Simon gets to be at peace. The entire third act of this movie, well, the end of the second act and into the third act is basically Sir Simon yelling at Cuffy, kill the Nazis and I can be at peace. I'm paraphrasing. He never actually says that, but that is the message. And I don't like Nazis, so I'm fine with this. This is a fine addition to the canon.
Yeah. There's a lot of fun, wacky shit in this movie.
My favorite joke in the whole movie has to do with Nazis.
Yes, you put it in your Letterboxd post. I would like you to read it because it's my favorite line in the movie as well.
It's after the first night,
right,
that they've all been in the house and they've been haunted.
Their lieutenant has showed up, right?
Yep.
Who is like kind of a hard ass.
Yeah, and he's like, "Why are you all so tired?" And they were like, "Because of the ghost, sir." And he's like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" And they're all telling him about the ghost and all the things about that. And he says, "Big husky man eating Rangers, best platoon in the outfit. What are you going to do when you see Nazis?" And one of the soldiers sheepishly puts his hand up and just goes, "But Nazis are tangible, sir." And I fucking love it.
It's so good. But no, when I refer to goofy shit, there's an extended sequence in this movie which is like it's very similar to, I mean, this predates it, but very similar to like a Batman the movie, like some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
Yes.
Kind of hijinks where
you're talking about Dark Knight Rises.
That too, where there's like an unexploded parachuted piece of ordnance.
Yep.
That
is on the
buster.
Grounds
What's
of the
it estate. They call it a blockbuster,
right?
Because yes, it would, if it exploded, it would take out like a few acres probably. It's supposed to be very delicate, but Cuffy starts like, that's one of the ways that he started to show, try to show his courage is that he is trying to get the bomb away from everybody. The problem is that it doesn't really like it. His attempts at that don't really work at first, and hilarity ensues.
I mean, we do get in the third act some pretty amazing images of Cuffy driving the military jeep, towing this giant bomb behind him, and the bomb is being ridden by Charles Laughton as Sir Simon de Canterville.
Because the ghost is those just everything out in all with the jeep driving around is just unbelievable.
Yep,
that was production value back then, and it really showed. And then they send it over a cliff so it can explode. Anyway, it's cool.
It's real good. Yeah, no one dies. It's fine. Except a bunch of Nazis die, and that's fine. I want to say this about Robert Young. He's really fun as Cuffy. I found him super compelling. I already said that I like how he's not immediately set up as the protagonist. He's just one of the guys, but then he kind of gets elevated throughout the story. I love that there's a moment where Sir Simon is so disappointed in him, and his great disappointment is that Cuffy wouldn't shoot Nazis. It's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Yeah, it is. It's some very weird choices in this film, but I think that they all, like, it's the good kind. And then, my favorite part is that there's a giant wacky dance sequence with all the soldiers and a little girl, like, just so fun.
This one lost me a little bit.
What are you talking about? Lost you? Dancing.
The dance scene kind of lost me a little bit. I mean, dancing is for suckers. Let's be clear.
I'm gonna lose you.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's all pretty fun. Honestly, my problem with it is that it's not like as charming and as it's not as charming and impressive as they want it to be. Like if you're gonna have a dance break in a movie from the 40s, like do it by all means, go for it. But like it should be. I've seen ones where it's really entertaining, and this one I thought was okay.
Okay, fine.
I'm just saying that was my experience. I'm just on my journey, man.
Fun dancing.
I know.
Good.
I think we can both agree that racism towards American Indians is not cool, and this one has a lot of that. And
yes, it sure does. Yes, it does.
Not cool. I just think the important thing to say about this one is, like you were saying the thing before about how it's like it's an American production, and that kind of makes it work. Like the Otises are gone, but of the three good ones, it's the only one that seems to be interested in making a central part of the plot be matching up people with a modern American sensibility and a can-do attitude and a centuries-old British ghost. The other two are very much like there is a family at the house.
Yeah.
But this is the only one that kind of dips into that satire from the story, even if it does it by totally changing the characters and the context.
It's
but
super
still,
weird,
like, some of the stuff that Oscar Wilde was doing in the story is in this version, even though the Otises aren't. It's cool. It's a cool movie.
I like it the most, but it doesn't really feel like an adaptation of the Canterville Ghost. It feels like a wacky, like military 40s movie.
Yeah.
But with Charles Lawton riding around on a bomb. It's pretty great. And that's why I like it.
So we move from Charles Lawton now into the 80s. 1985 gave us the Richard Kiley version. 1986 gave us the John Gielgud version.
Yeah.
So this is a TV movie. It's directed by Paul Bogart and written by George Zateslow. I think it's definitely a better than average 80s TV movie. It's still an 80s TV movie.
Yeah.
But
not a lot of production value, but it's the thing that I like the most about it is that I think in terms of the universe of the friendship between the young girl character and the ghost, this is like one of the best ones in that regard.
100%.
Yeah. That's like the standout part of it for me.
Yeah.
Because who plays the little girl, Jeremy?
Well, it's a little Alyssa Milano.
That's right. Yeah, she's quite good in this.
She's really good in this.
Yeah.
She's great. No, I went back to rewatch the scene where she's like pleading his case to death.
Yeah.
And like she kills it. She does a great job. And Gielgud and her, I mean, Gielgud's a treasure, but like their relationship is kind of beautiful. He's so sweet with her. And it's real. He's just very gentle, and like he still has a great performance as this piece of shit Simon de Canterville. Like he's great. He's so good in the role. But like he's sweet with her in a way that's very different from the Richard Kiley one, where he was like suddenly so taken by her. This guy is like, I don't know about this girl, but I guess I'll hang out with her.
Yeah.
It was hard for me to figure out. Like, it's not the story in some key ways. Like, there's a whole new plot where the dad is a Canterville.
Right.
And he stands to inherit the house if I'm remembering this correctly, if he can live there for 3 months.
Yeah, I think it's something like that.
And of course, people don't live there for longer than that because on account of it's haunted.
On account of the ghost.
Yeah, the ghost. He's got a new wife and his teenage daughter.
Right. That's another big aspect of this one, is that it's a stepmom situation.
Yeah. I just want to say a couple of things that don't work for me. The pacing isn't great. I think we spend a lot of times in scenes that don't really do much for the plot. There's a scene where Sir Simon is haunting a big dinner party that they're having, and I conservatively in this 90-minute movie, that scene is 2 hours. It didn't do anything for me. There's like, I want to say several scenes of the dad and the stepmom just making out loudly.
Yeah, there was some weird stuff with that in this. Like this was like the most adult in terms of like there was weird, like, I don't know, sexual situations between the couple.
I just want to do a dramatic reenactment for everyone at home of the the makeout scenes. But for 20 minutes. Just that.
Yeah, there's also weird shit, like, it's like, do you remember that weird scene where like the ghost makes a scary noise and she like the stepmom like jumps up like over onto his side of the bed on top of him, and he just has that weird charged line that's like, what's her name is like Lucy or something.
Yeah.
He's like, Lucy, don't ever jump on a man like that.
Yeah. It's so weird.
And I'm like, what what do you mean? It is de facto the sexiest one of these adaptations.
Yes. It definitely is,
but in not the way that you would think that I mean that. Like,
yeah.
It's just weird vibes between the dad and stepmom.
Yeah, I mean, staying on the stepmom for a second, they try to set up this really weird conflict between Jennifer, the daughter, and her stepmom.
Yeah.
And the movie gives the stepmom so much shit. And she did nothing wrong. That's the thing I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, she's pretty normal, and like her biggest crime is that she's like, I don't think I want to be in the haunted house.
Yeah.
And that's fine. The mom, by the way, we haven't said who plays the parents, but Lucy is played by Andrea Markovici, and the dad, Harry, is played by Ted Wass. We'll get back to Ted Wass in a second.
Oh, yeah, we will.
But the stepmom has done nothing wrong, and the movie is definitely doing the trope of like the bad stepmom, and that is not what's happening. And not even in a way where they're aware of that. It's just they're asking me to go along with that, and I don't like that. Also, there's a ghost hunter in this one, and I hate that. And get that shit out of here. That's blah. So that's stuff that doesn't work.
Yeah.
But can I talk about some stuff that does work?
Yes, please.
This cast.
Yeah.
This cast is really good. We already talked about John Gielgud. Alyssa Milano's really good. Alyssa Milano's Alyssa Milano.
Mm-hmm.
Andrea Markovici, she gives a really good performance despite the really weird way that the movie handles her character.
Yeah.
And I watched so much Blossom that I can enjoy Ted Wass in anything.
He's a prime example of what I was talking about before, where the dad in every adaptation is like a quintessential, like that dad from that time. And Jesus Christ, is he that in this? Like the like longer, like silky hair.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Like I want to be very clear about how I feel about this, because I feel like you and I don't even really talk about Blossom much. But did you watch Blossom?
I'm apparently not like you.
I was really into it. It was such a good
definitely
show.
Watched some Blossom, but I don't have any kind of like connection to it, I guess.
Ted Wass, like I would put him, if I don't think I've ever made like a top 5 TV dads list, but I think he would be on it.
Okay.
I think his dad from Blossom would be on there.
Cool.
That was a really good show.
I believe you.
He's so good in this too. He's so natural and funny. And it's like a genuinely great, subtle performance of the like put upon dad in the haunted house. You know what? I'll bring it back to Casper. It gave me real Bill Pullman and Casper vibes.
Well, as everything should. So that's definitely in the plus column.
By the way, quick sidebar. Like, are we aligned? Casper's a good movie, right?
Are you kidding?
No.
It's
like,
incredible.
I don't, no, but that's the thing. Like, I thought it was. I'm just making sure. I'm just making sure. I feel like I don't hear people talk about it that much recently. But I just. Like, I don't love it, but like Casper's a good movie. Like
yes, it is.
I think we all agree
movie.
that Casper's a good movie. Okay, good. But anyway, bring it back to this. Gielgud, I just think it's worth saying again. He's amazing in this. So I read an interview. I read that there was an interview he was giving where he was asked like, why did you do this? Because he was retired, and he was just like, I wanted something to distract me from getting old, and so I did this.
Yeah,
and he talks to his bird throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
All his little.
He has a familiar in this, but it's really nice because the bird doesn't talk. That's good.
No, the bird is dead. Like it's a stuffed bird named Jeffrey. Every moment he has with Jeffrey, the bird, is fantastic.
Yeah.
There was a moment in the movie where I was totally checked out, and it was after that dinner haunting scene that I mentioned before. But then immediately after that, they're in the cemetery. Jennifer is there, and she's talking to her like little boyfriend, who's the Duke or whatever.
Yeah.
And Gielgud shows up, and Gielgud looks at the kid and just goes in a way that I could never do, that only John Gielgud could do. Just goes boo. And I was like right back into it. I was immediately like sitting on the edge of the couch going like, no, this movie's great. What am I talking about?
Yeah, it's fun. It's good.
His performance was so natural. Like, even though it's not the story, and even though there's no satire, as stories of a girl and her ghost go, it's good.
Completely agree.
Like I mentioned before, that we actually see Alyssa Milano kind of do the pleading Sir Simon's case and getting emotional about it, and like it really works, and their relationship is great. This is a good one. This is a good one.
Agreed. So finally,
see, I think this is the best one, even though I had a lot of problems with it.
Yeah.
So this is the 1996 version. This is the Patrick Stewart one.
It
was directed by his TV movies, directed by Sidney McCartney, written by Robert Benedetti. Patrick Stewart, friend of the pod.
Yep.
Come on down, sir. That would be amazing. It's not the most faithful adaptation.
Yep.
I don't think it's very interested in the tone of Wilde's story. It doesn't do the satire at all.
No, it goes a little. It's a little serious, but like not necessarily in a bad way.
I think it works the most.
Okay.
Like I think it just works really well. Like this is the one. The one I was thinking about it is that like if someone told me oh no, I grew up on the Patrick Stewart Canterville Ghost and I love it and I watch it all the time. Like that would make sense to me. And I would I would understand, because I think it's just it's a solid TV movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's got problems. It's pretty cheap. The American accents are kind of distracting. The production is rough. It's not perfect, but like, I think it's good. I think it's solid. And Patrick Stewart is amazing.
Yeah. I mean, he's Patrick Stewart. He's great. I have stuff I'll talk about, like, that I think is kind of funny and maybe like takes me out of it a little bit with him.
Okay.
But I'll talk about that a little later. Let's talk about the rest of the cast and everything.
Yeah. Okay. So the family that has come to visit, they are Americans, mostly played by Brits, except for Nev Campbell.
Nev Campbell, who plays the main character.
Who plays Ginny.
Yeah.
In this one, Virginia Otis. Nev Campbell she's great. She's Nev Campbell. Like, she shows up and does a great job. I think Nev Campbell's great.
Yeah,
and I think
do
she's
too.
The bee's
and
knees.
Here's the thing with her in this is that, okay, so this is like the time of Nev Campbell's life. Like,
yes,
like this came out, this TV movie that she did, and then within the next year and a half, both The Craft and Scream drop, like, one after another. And I don't know what the production schedule was like when she filmed everything, because obviously, like, sometimes things get filmed but then they come out in a different order or whatever. But like, I really feel like she finished shooting this and like got on the plane and got off on the Scream set. Like, she looks exactly like, her styling and her hair is exactly how she is in Scream. And so I just feel like she filmed Scream like the next week after this. Like,
it would not surprise me.
Yeah.
Also, and we even mentioned this came out like, what were they? They must have been like in the second season of Party of Five or something, like that. Like, she was having a moment.
Yeah, she had a lot going on, and good for her. Yeah, she's good in this. I like her a lot. Yeah,
she's real good, and I think more than that, I think she and Patrick Stewart are wonderful together.
Yeah, like weirdly well matched, right?
Yeah,
like
they're so good together. Their scenes are like, I think their scenes stand out as genuinely good scenes between two actors.
Yeah.
Like, not just they're the best of this. Like, I think they're great. I think they're great, and everyone should see the scenes they have together because they're genuinely fantastic.
This is another thing where it's like, I don't know if this is true, but I really do feel like Patrick Stewart's time on, it's one of the things he talks about most whenever there's any production talk or behind the scenes stuff about the seasons of Star Trek: The Next Generation, is that he talks about how he started out so snotty about it.
Yeah.
And then really found the fun eventually, and like realized that, like, not to take all of this so seriously. It's one of his most common talking points when talking about the first couple of years on Star Trek for him. I think that another thing that doing Star Trek really taught him to do was, I think at the beginning of his popularity, in that he was used to only dealing with other, I don't know, like Shakespearean stage actors, people that he might have seen at his level or not, or, not like, I don't want to put words in his mouth or thoughts in his head.
Can I simplify maybe?
Yeah.
Grown-ups.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. But then also, I just think that part of what he is describing when he talks about how after a while on Star Trek, he got less high and mighty about it, is also like not just working with younger actors, but working with just actors that maybe are not the ones that up until then he had been so, it's just other very classically trained actors who took it super duper seriously. And I think that really gave him an edge on working with the kinds of actors that he would work with the rest of his career, which are not necessarily, Royal Shakespeare Company type folks.
They're like working day players.
Yeah.
Like working actors.
Yeah, exactly. And like, and in, like various British and American productions. That was something I was thinking about a lot when I was watching their shockingly good scenes together.
Right?
Yeah.
The thing that, like, their scenes together are fantastic. The thing that kind of blew me away is how much subtlety there was in his performance when he was alone.
Yeah.
And he was talking to his bird because he's got a familiar in this one.
Yeah.
The thing I really love about Patrick Stewart is that he is like, yes, he's Mr. Shakespeare. I'll just say again, we've brought it up on the show before, but Playing Shakespeare is an amazing TV show from the 80s.
Yeah.
That was like before Star Trek. It's John Barton and like all these actors from the Royal Shakespeare Company just spending 9 episodes talking about like, here's how you act Shakespeare, and it's amazing. And like Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart and Ben Kingsley, and there's so many good people. I think Judi Dench is in one episode. She's on the cover of the box. Anyway, it's a really, really good show. I bring this up for 2 reasons. Like, one, seeing Patrick Stewart do Shakespeare in that, it's very clear that he understands in that context, they're all talking about performing Shakespeare on the stage.
Right.
So he does Shakespeare very big, and that's like he was really good at that. But I feel like one of the things that's so wonderful about him is not only does he have the ability to do big stage acting and command a theater, he also is such an amazing screen actor because he's so subtle, and so he can be so subtle and be so quiet. And this performance of his is wonderful because he's so subtle and so quiet in so many scenes. And then he has to be like big and bombastic and haunting them. Yes. But then he has all these scenes that are really lovely where he just gets to be, where it's the kind of thing where if the camera wasn't right in his face, you wouldn't be able to see that he was doing anything. Patrick Stewart's really good. I don't know if people are sleeping on Patrick Stewart.
Yeah,
but like,
people are
don't.
aware.
The other reason I bring up Playing Shakespeare, which is not the last time we're going to talk about Shakespeare in this episode, is that there is another actor who was in Playing Shakespeare, a guy named Donald Sinden, who was in this one in 96 as like the housekeeper's husband, the driver.
Yeah.
And also he's in the 1997 one. So clearly he was just like, I only want to be in adaptations of the Canterville Ghost. And he's great because he's in this section of Playing Shakespeare that I know Ari loves, and I've grown to love it because of how much Ari loves it. There's a thing where he's representing more of like an old guard of, Shakespearean stage actors. And there's a thing where he's doing this performance and he's doing it, and it's very big and very stiff and very like classical. Like there's no subtlety to it. And then they say, and now do it the modern way. And he's like, yeah, I'll do it the modern way. And then he does it, but he does the exact same thing. He seems incapable of doing it. And this is a guy who's fun. Like, I think he's really fun, but in both versions that he's in, he is overacting all over the place. Like he can't but overact in every moment he's on screen. And I know that he's he's worked with Patrick Stewart before. They have a shared history, but he's not. It's not the same kind of caliber as a screen actor.
Yeah, I didn't realize that he was in both of those. But that's not weirdly the kind of stuff I don't notice sometimes. But that is pretty funny.
I mean, the 97 one I could understand if you wanted to block that one.
Yeah.
Just if we're talking about cast, I do think it's got a really strong supporting cast too. Like specifically the 2 people that I really enjoyed were Daniel Betts, who plays the Francis, Duke of Cheshire, who's the love interest. I thought he was great.
Yeah.
I like what a good performance. I thought the relationship he had with Neve Campbell was so good. It just worked. It was exactly, it towed the line between like innocent and grown up, and like, yes, there was attraction and love, but it wasn't melodramatic. I really liked it. I thought they were both really good.
Yeah,
but I think maybe one of my favorite people in this was Edward Wiley as the dad, as Hiram. And this is a guy who it's sad because he died from complications of AIDS the previous year. He died right after they shot it.
Okay.
So this came out posthumously. And
Gotcha.
one of the things he had done is he had been on Star Trek. So like a person who had some lovely things to say about him was Patrick Stewart. He had played a Klingon on Next Gen, and he had also played a Cardassian on Deep Space Nine. So he's just one of those guys. His performance, I don't know what was going on with it in this one. He's so intensely soft-spoken.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. I also remember thinking that it was kind of peculiar, but not in a bad way, like in a good way.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. I didn't love everything they did with that character, but I loved his performance.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing they do with the character that I don't like is that they really turn him into a complete skeptic. and he refuses to
Right.
accept that there is a ghost.
Right.
Like most of the tension in the movie is between him and Ginny because he doesn't accept that there's a ghost. Like, okay, a thing that I didn't like, I mentioned before, the thing with the paint. The reveal that the blood is actually the paint that Sir Simon has been stealing from Virginia.
Right.
In this, they immediately say like, "Oh, that's your oil paints." Like it smells like oil paint.
And you're like,
And
you just stepped on it.
It's your paints. Why are you doing this prank? That's not cool. We know you don't want to live here, but like, so not only do they ruin that gag from the book, they use it as a way to get Virginia in trouble. And it's the thing where he won't hear anything other than what he's already decided is true, which is that she did it and she has to be grounded, that kind of thing. And they just double down on his whole like skepticism and refusal to believe in ghosts. It is just the complete opposite of the story.
Yeah. And when you do that, it just makes the character kind of seem dumb.
Yeah.
When you do that thing where they're just like doubling down against all like what they've been shown, it just makes them seem kind of dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But his inability to accept that there is a ghost does lead to one of the most interesting things in this adaptation. One of the things they find out is that, well, the kids can see Sir Simon, but the mom and the dad don't.
Right.
And the reason they don't is because they don't believe in ghosts, which I don't love that.
I don't love it too, because it's like, did the kids, like, you're saying that the kids, because they're kids, just 100% believed in ghosts, and so they saw him right from the get-go. Like, it doesn't work.
Yeah, it has very much like, do you believe in Santa Claus kind of vibes to it.
Ghosts and Santa Claus are not the same.
Yeah. So Ginny's plan, she has this aha moment while she's talking to Sir Simon. And I watched this scene and immediately I had to stop it. I had to go interrupt Ari, who was reading a book they were really into. And I said, I'm so sorry, but I need you to see this scene. Because Ari had never seen this version of Canterville Ghost, but Ari loves Patrick Stewart, which anyone who's listened to this show knows. And in the scene, Ginny says, wait a minute, what if we get him to see you because you're a ghost he believes in? We saw this production of Hamlet once. I just remember that the scene where Hamlet's talking to the ghost of his father was just amazing, and my dad loved it. Do you know Hamlet? And Sir Simon is like, what are you talking about? Like, Will would tell me about it when he would come visit. and then it turns out the big reveal is that Sir Simon loves Shakespeare. And
yes, what a reveal
reading
it
Shakespeare
is.
has been one of the only things that has kept him sane over the hundreds of years that he has been a ghost in Canterville Chase.
Yeah. I'm not even going to say this is a criticism. It's not really but it is a little bit. And
it's an acknowledgement.
This case of Shakespeare being brought heavily into this adaptation so Patrick Stewart can do some Shakespeare stuff is fine. Like in this situation, it's fine. Not to criticize Sir Patrick Stewart in any way, but I do feel like he's got this thing that he does. As soon as he got enough power to kind of have power over productions that he was in, he started doing a thing where he really wanted to like make the character more like him. Yeah. I'm speaking generally. This isn't like a huge deal. Another, like a big example of this that I always think of is that, so in modern days and today, there was a modern Star Trek Picard series in which he came back as Captain Picard. It was a big deal. Now, there's some aspects of that show, namely the third and final season, which I think are quite good and quite fitting. But the first two seasons of the show, it's a kind of thing where it's almost not the same character. And in a way where it just seemed like Patrick Stewart was like, no, I want him to be like this now, which is like me. Because wonderfully, Patrick Stewart is a big dog lover. He has a lot of dog rescue charities. He does all kinds of stuff. He loves like rescuing pit bulls. He's got several pit bulls, and he's really into them. And so in the first season of Star Trek Picard, future Picard, who's just like living alone on his family's vineyard, has a dog that he calls number one. Jean-Luc Picard would never have a dog. And I will die on that hill. Like, okay. Like Jean-Luc Picard is everything about his nature is
are you
not
saying,
a dog person.
Are you saying that you don't see Jean-Luc Picard picking up dog poop?
Well, that, yes, for sure. But no, just in general, I just don't like everything that he is shown, everything that is shown about the nature of that character in that, maybe not the movies, but 7 seasons of Star Trek The Next Generation, is that he is, in my opinion,
Yeah.
he is a person who would never have a dog.
Yeah.
His life wouldn't work with a dog.
And so you're saying that is the equivalent of Sir Simon de Canterville being super into Hamlet.
Well, sort of. Just
because I don't disagree.
Yeah, I'm saying that he does seem to have this weird thing where he's got the pull to change the production and to like make changes to, you know, what an adaptation is going to do. And in this case, I think he was like, I'd like the Ghost to be into Shakespeare so I can do some Shakespeare stuff. Maybe I'm wrong, because it does work really well in the story.
That's the thing. It does work really well.
Yeah.
And this is something we've talked about on the show before. Like, I just want it to be good.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not going to be the original story, if it's not going to try to embrace the tone of the original, at least give me something that's good.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, seeing him and Nev Campbell do the ghost scene from Hamlet,
mm-hmm.
which they do, they perform it. And they manage to turn the whole thing, because when he starts talking about, as Hamlet's father starts talking about Hamlet's mother, he starts to think about his own wife that he killed
mm-hmm.
and can't do the scene anymore.
Yeah.
And disappears. And like every single thing after that, I feel like doing that lays the groundwork for them to do some really amazing scenes and some great writing about him reflecting on his relationship with his wife and the fact that he killed her. I should mention that he didn't kill her directly, but he treated her horribly, and which led to her death, just to be specific about how they're doing it in this version.
Mm-hmm.
And this, one of the things I really like about this one is it doesn't shy away from that part of it. I feel like they do a lot to sell us on the fact that he has spent literally hundreds of years truly reflecting on his terrible actions.
Mm-hmm.
And all the Shakespeare stuff, all the Hamlet stuff, yeah, it's there. Maybe it was there to be self-serving, but like, if all of it was there as a way in to him having the scenes where he talks about his wife,
mm-hmm.
man, it works.
Yeah, it does.
It works.
Like I said, that's like, it works in this. I'm not disputing that. It's just that what I'm watching, I don't know. I think it's literally just because Patrick Stewart, like, even though it's super good, it's always super good, but he's so tied to that Shakespeare stuff that when he does it in other stuff, or, you know, just like when in Star Trek, when Picard's doing Shakespeare stuff on the holodeck, it's like a little too on the nose. Like that's how it feels to me. It just takes me out of it a little bit, because all it looks to me is it just feels like, oh, Patrick Stewart wanted to do Shakespeare stuff. Or
everyone should be doing it, and Patrick Stewart is just trying to lead the way.
Yeah, maybe. It's just me. Just how I feel about it.
I like this one.
I do too.
It's really good.
Yeah.
It's real good, but it's not the story.
No, it's another one that's pretty different.
Yeah. But as a girl and her ghost story goes, this one's, for me, this one was the best one.
Mm-hmm.
But as I said, like the 3 we just talked about, like they're the ones that work.
Yeah.
And they have many, many problems. But we're at the end now. Let's do some quadrants, and let's do it. Let's do it in the order that we talked about it on the show.
Okay.
1974, David Niven. Do you think they cared about the source material?
See, like, this is.
It's hard to say.
I never think about this until you actually are asking me the question on the show. And it's like, it's always tough, because it's like, yeah, I mean, like, most of these are just the story. So like, yes, but they all kind of get it wrong. So
yeah, but I think BBC in the 70s, I think they cared. I think the people who made this cared.
Okay.
But is it successful?
No.
Okay. The 1985 one, the Beverly Hills one with Richard Kiley, do you think they cared about the source material?
No.
Yeah, see, it's a little easier, right?
Saying.
Yeah. And is it successful?
No.
Okay. The 1997 Ian Richardson one, do you think the one that's like trying to be a 90s prestige piece kind of thing, do you think they cared about the source material?
No.
No. Was it successful?
No.
Okay. the 2021 miniseries.
Yeah.
Do you think they cared about Oscar Wilde's short story, The Canterville Ghost?
They like did, but as like a springboard, like they cared about it the way that people do when they like want to use it to tell their own thing.
I don't think that's caring. I think that's...
So I'm going to say no.
Yeah. Was it successful?
No, unfortunately not.
Yeah, 2023 animated movie, Stephen Fry. Do you think they cared about the source material?
I don't think so with this one.
I don't think so either. Was it successful?
No.
Okay. 1966. Bert Shevel of Bach and Harnick. Michael Redgrave, do you think they cared about the source material?
I think they cared more than any other production about the satire of the Americans.
Okay.
In a way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and that's something that so many of the adaptations are missing that I kind of want to say yeah on that one.
Yeah. And was it successful?
Not for me, but
no.
Not at all. But
no.
It's
not at all.
Certainly bonkers.
Yes. But as a first draft goes, this is one of the few ones where I'm like, no, not successful, but I have notes.
Yeah.
1944, Charles Lawton. Do you think they cared about the source material?
Weirdly, well, no, like not weirdly, because it's American production. I don't think they really cared at all. They just wanted like a ghost that was kind of funny. I think that's what they wanted.
Was it successful?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. 1986, John Gielgud. Do you think they cared about the source material?
Yeah. I think the ones that really kind of hammer down on the friendship between Virginia and the ghost, I think that they care for a very specific part of the story. And so I think that counts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the thing that marks these is that they do a really good job with that part of it, but also Sir Simon is compelling in his own way, in a way that's like the story. Right. And that has to show some love of the source material.
Like usually, and I mean, the thing that these are missing is that the family isn't really funny.
Yeah.
But, the other stuff is good enough.
Mm-hmm. And was it successful?
Yeah, I think so.
1996. Do you think they cared about the source material being Shakespeare's Hamlet?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. Do you think they cared about Oscar Wilde's The Canterville Ghost?
This one's weirdly like on the edge for me. Like I want to say probably not enough.
Yeah. I think they did a bit. I would say yes, more than
I liked it a lot, but yeah, I mean, it's another one just like the last one. Like the Gielgud one and this one are the two that get the relationship between the two characters the best, and I think that counts.
Yeah, and was it successful?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah, this was a slog, man. We're not doing any I promise. Whatever we're doing next that's like based on a book, I'm going to try to find something that just has a few versions. I don't usually do this,
but no more Victorian ghost-like things.
I will do my level best. Well, this has been Adapter Parish. If you'd like to find us online, head to adapterparishcast.com. There you'll find our email address, links to the show on Mastodon and Blue Sky, and more. We're also on Patreon at patreon.com/adaptcast. You can join our Patreon page for free to get general announcements about the show and news about current and upcoming episodes. If you'd like to support us on Patreon, you can join at a paid level to get access to our bonus show, Adapter Parish Plus, and our patron-only Slack community. You can also support the show by telling a friend about us, leaving a rating and review on your podcast platform of choice, and visiting our bookshop.org storefront at bookshop.org/shop/adaptcast, where you can purchase all of the books we've covered on the show. Part of every purchase will support us and a local bookstore of your choice.
Thanks, everybody.
And I'm so sorry to you, my friend, for putting you through this bleak experience.
It's okay.
It doesn't sound like it's okay. Bye, everybody.